Welcome to the last day, first discussion, Heritage Festival 2016. We will talk today about our heritage in Pondicherry through the written word.
Now, Manoj Das, present in our country and who enriches the Pondicherry cultural heritage in a way, like nobody else does, really. Now, Manoj Das started life as a young, radical, revolutionary leader to find the ideal society and to create the ideal world. Besides being an author of a number of books, being a prolific speaker on various subjects related to India, and his deeper quest for this ideal world and the ideal society led him to Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. And today, Manoj Das is here with us to speak to us about Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, who are such a significant part of the Pondicherry heritage scene. So, Manoj Das, we are very happy to have you here with us, and over to you.
So, Nanaji and all the friends and ladies, gentlemen and friends, some voice told me yesterday, you are going to speak on Sri Aurobindo at Pondicherry? Is it not like carrying coal to Newcastle? I told him, if I were a citizen of Newcastle, I will be very happy if someone carries coal to my door. But anyway, the comparison is not very relevant. I believe that even if the whole world became one day Newcastle, not of coal but of wisdom, but of knowledge, Sri Aurobindo will be still needed to be read, to be reflected upon, to be meditated upon. The profundity is unlimited. Friends, how long, Maurice, am I going to speak? Give me a time. 20 minutes. So, in 20 minutes, definitely, you can imagine I will be able to give you a very, very, very brief, most brief introduction to Sri Aurobindo. You see, generally we begin with the physical data about an individual's life. Sri Aurobindo always warned us, saying that, well, there is nothing on the surface of my life for you to see, because all his achievements, his quest, his realizations were deep within the ocean of consciousness, not on the surface for anybody to see. Yet, following a convention, I will tell you, Sri Aurobindo was born on the 15th of August, 1872, not only 15 years after the famous Sepoy Mutiny, the first war of independence that India had witnessed. His father was, I won't go into details of names, etc. His father was a incorrigible, lover of English lifestyle. So he did not want his children to be acquainted with any Indian culture or nativity. At the age of 6, he was taken to Darjeeling, the idyllic backdrop, and admitted to an Irish nun-run school. When he was barely 9, he was taken to England, at Manchester, then in London and Cambridge. To be precise, he did his tripos first class. He passed successfully his most coveted test of the time, dream of every Indian young man, Indian Civil Service, ICS. But deliberately absented himself from horse riding test, a very technical small thing, so that the authorities would disqualify him and he would not enter Indian civil service, because by that time he was growing absolutely into a new consciousness, a consciousness of struggle which must be launched to free India from the colonial rule. And the British government had a hunch of it, and that precisely explains why he was not given ICS. Came to India, lived in Baroda for 14 years, from 1893 onwards for 14 years, during which time we see his life running in 4 streams. One was his job. He was serving the Maharaja of Baroda, Vadodara now, and as the principal of the college, vice principal, principal, etc., in the secretariat also. On the other hand, his quest led him to a deep study of the entire Indian spiritual lore, from Vedas, Vedantas, Upanishads, epics, etc., etc. He mastered Sanskrit in no time. And third, he was a writer, a poet. He flourished as a poet there. Fourth, he was organizing a secret revolutionary movement all over India so that the British rule could be at an appropriate time completely overthrown. In 1905 and 6, Bengal was in turmoil because the Governor General of India, Lord Curzon, decided to divide Bengal into 2 provinces. There was a large-scale public upheaval. Sri Aurobindo resigned his Baroda job, came to Calcutta, and with the collaboration or at the invitation of a great leader of the time, Bipin Chandra Pal, took over the editorship of Vande Mataram, a nationalist daily newspaper, became the principal of the first national college in India, and organized the revolutionary movement at the same time. It is fantastic how a young man of his time, and without any modern amenities at his disposal, not even a car, not even telephone, could organize such a massive thing, so that not only the Lieutenant Governor of Bengal, but Governor General of India wrote to the Minister for India, Lord Morley in London, that is Secretary of State as we call him. He is the most dangerous man in India so far as the colonial outlook was concerned. They tried to somehow arrest him, and they did arrest him, but somehow that is for seditious writings in the newspaper Vande Mataram. But the case did not stand. It was at that time the great poet Rabindranath Tagore wrote, Aurobindo Rabindra Laho Namaskar. Rabindranath was 12 years younger than him, but he said, Oh, Aurobindo, take the salutations of Rabindranath. You are the voice incarnate of India's soul. Through you, the country's soul will speak. He was acquitted, but the British government could not remain at rest as long as he was at large. Soon thereafter, in 1908, he was again arrested, implicated in some terrorist attempts to assassinate a few higher-ups in British setup, the bureaucracy, the government, etc., etc. And he was put behind the bars in Alipur Central Jail. The case went on for full 1 year, which is known as Alipur Conspiracy Case. And you know, one great seer, Das, Chittaranjan Das, who took up the cause of Sri Aurobindo and fought for him, his famous words at the conclusion of his argument, long after he is dead and gone, his words would be echoed and re-echoed, not only in India, but across the seas and other lands. The judge who was trying him was Mr. Beechcroft, who was his classmate in Cambridge University, Sri Aurobindo's, a very impartial, upright judge. And Sri Aurobindo used to stand first in Latin and Greek He used to stand second in Latin and Greek. Anyway, Sri Aurobindo was acquitted after 1 year of imprisonment, but during which he had tremendous spiritual realizations. And he also, in his sheer vision, he knew that India would be free in coming few years. First phase of his struggle for freedom was over almost. Second phase of his struggle for freedom began. And what struggle is that? To free mankind from the dark clutches of ignorance, to liberate human consciousness from a terrible unconscious state to which it has descended. In fact, soon after his release, British government tried to capture him once again. I am being very brief, cruelly brief. Sri Aurobindo escaped to Chandanagar, which was a French colony, then to Pondicherry, where he began his exploration into the mystery of human consciousness. What exactly ails mankind? We have great ideals. There is no dearth of idealism in India. We have great saints, Buddha, Jesus Christ, etc., etc. No end to the stream of avatars and prophets. But yet, great ideals are distorted in no time. Honest people become corrupt in no time. What is the real cause? I'll remind you in 2 minutes a little story which you might have read in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Actually, the story is a summary of a story from Buddha Jataka. But the story is shorter, I will tell you that. Once, in ancient days, a king announced that a terrible demon has come and is residing in a forest on the outskirts of the capital. Every night it enters the capital and devours people. Whoever can kill the demon will get half of the kingdom and the princess. Now there were 3 young people, notorious for their idleness, rich man's children, but they did nothing except retiring every day to a tavern, sitting there, drinking, merrymaking, pulling others' legs, so on and so forth. When they heard about the announcement, they decided to take a chance to go into the forest and try to locate that demon and kill it. Armed with dagger and sticks, they entered the forest. An old man directed them to go in a certain direction and told them that inside the cave, the demon is fast asleep. This is a golden opportunity for you to stab him and claim the kingdom and the princess. They went stealthily towards the cave, looked into the cave. The moment they looked into the cave, their eyes, dazzling rays from the cave, dazed them. What was inside the cave? A heap of gold, rubies, different kinds of gems and jewels, and diamonds and gold. They forgot the demon. Now the question is how to carry this vast wealth home. Daytime it is not safe to carry them. So they decided to wait there till nightfall, till evening. But they were not in a habit of remaining so many hours without food and drink. So the youngest of the 3 was sent to the town to fetch food and drink by evening so that they could carry the wealth along with them. As soon as the youngest one departed, the other 2 decided, why should we make 3 divisions of the wealth? We can divide it between ourselves. You can imagine they struck upon a plan, and as soon as the 3rd young friend comes merrily whistling with a cart, bullock cart, to carry the wealth home, the 2 pounced upon him, throttled him to death. Now, what remains is to divide the wealth between themselves. The young man was, but before that they started eating what he had brought. And the 3rd young man was no less clever. He also had thought, why should I should get only 1/3 of the wealth. I can be the master of the entire wealth. Accordingly, he had mixed the deadliest poison in the food and drink he had brought. The other two made good use of them, lay down their dead, all the three. The sun went down, darkness again enveloped the forest. The demon remained where he was, and the three people who were trying to kill the demon were themselves lying there dead. Sri Aurobindo discovered that deep within human consciousness, there is something which is called inconscience. In Sanskrit, nischetana, the very opposite of consciousness. And unless that particular element has been tackled, or rather to use his own term, transformed. Transformation is not merely a change, but a qualitative journey from where it is to its opposite condition. That is transformation. So this inconscience must be completely transformed. How to go about it? Sri Aurobindo believed in evolution, but not in the usual theories of evolution. He believed that whatever evolves, it remains involved deep within the human consciousness. Once upon a time, there was nothing but matter. If out of matter life evolved, as trees, plants, animals, birds, etc., etc., because life was involved in matter. Out of life, mind evolved. We are all human beings with splendid minds, we believe, because mind was already involved in life. Sri Aurobindo believes this mind is not the last achievement of the evolutionary force which is at work. Man cannot remain ever left as a half animal, half human being. There must be something. Providence, call it God, call it providence, call it creative power. It could not have a purpose of creating a creature who even does not know what will happen to it next moment. What do I know? I do not know whether next step I am taking, it is causing me to fall down or to stand upright. No, this ignorance cannot be the last condition of evolution. There will be something much greater than that. Sri Aurobindo believed deep within this mind, whatever mind had to give us, science, technology, legislations, constitutions, democracy, socialism, everything it has given. But deep within lies something else, a new property, which he terms as supermind or supramental. Sri Aurobindo believed for a long time evolution was running mechanically. Monkeys, if at all monkeys were our forefathers, they did not aspire to become human beings. Automatically they became human beings, if at all we have to accept that traditional theory. But once man has become conscious, he has the freedom to choose between darkness and light, bad and good. Evolutionary force expects him to aspire, to dream of going beyond what he is. And that is yoga. Yoga, the term means union. Union between our supreme source and the condition at which we are. This union is yoga. For hundreds of years, there are many schools of yoga. But time had not come to reveal this truth that yoga does not simply lead an individual to his own liberation, perfection, nirvana, etc. But yoga also has a collective role. Sri Aurobindo calls it integral yoga. Society will not be left out, politics will not be left out, business will not be left out. Life as a whole can be transformed if mankind collectively aspires. The force which is the ultimate reality towards which we are all aspiring to go. The reality by reaching which we can experience the fulfillment of all that we have dreamed, happiness, God, light, freedom, bliss, immortality. If we aspire for that, that force will also come and help us to be uplifted. In 1914, Sri Aurobindo came to Pondicherry in 1910. In 14, on the 29th of February in 1914, 102nd year we will observe a few days after, the meeting between Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Mother was born in France, not of French ancestry. Her parents came from Middle East, and in fact, mother's ancestry can be traced back to the dynasties of pharaohs, the great legendary rulers of Egypt. So, Mother and Sri Aurobindo, Mother came to Pondicherry in 1914, met Sri Aurobindo. It was a providential meeting. It is with Mother's coming, gradually, Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, his vision, they started taking an orderly expression, because during the presence of the Mother, the magazine Arya was started, where Sri Aurobindo wrote all his magnum opus, his major works, where he propounds this great vision of the future of mankind. Mother had to go back soon, but she finally came in 1920. With her coming, the ashram grew. As the Mother came, children gathered around her. Sri Aurobindo is the master. Mother is the mother, physical, spiritual, real mother, integral mother, you can say. And Mother's one sentence explains the relationship between Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Without me, he is unmanifest. The world would not know what Sri Aurobindo is without the Mother coming, building up the ashram, publishing the Arya, and after that, compiling his works, etc., etc., explaining his philosophy very simple, in simple terms. Without me, he is unmanifest. Without him, I exist not. Her whole raison d'etre, her whole cause for existence was making Sri Aurobindo known to those who are aspiring for a greater truth, greater life. Dear friends, the allotted time is almost over, and there are other speakers. I should not take much of your time.
There are, in the history of the earth, moments of transition when things that have existed for thousands of years must give way to those that are about to manifest. A special concentration of the world consciousness, an intensification of its effort occurs at such times. We are precisely at such a turning of the world's history. This is an extract from the Mother, from her book on education. The changes we see in the world today are intellectual, moral, physical, in their ideal and intention. The spiritual revolution waits for its hour and throws up meanwhile its waves here and there. Until it comes, the sense of the others cannot be understood. Until then, all interpretation of present happening and forecast of man's future are vain things. For its nature, power, event are that which will determine the next cycle of our humanity. At present, mankind is undergoing an evolutionary crisis in which is concealed a choice of his destiny. For a stage has been reached in which the human mind has achieved in certain direction an enormous development, while in others it stands arrested and bewildered and can no longer find its way. A life of unity, mutuality, and harmony, born of a deeper and wider truth of our being, is the only truth of life that can successfully replace the imperfect mental constructions of the past. It is such a change and such a reshaping of life for which humanity is blindly beginning to seek, now more and more, with a sense that its very existence depends upon finding the way. It is this calling of diviner potentialities and more spiritual values into the intention and structure of his life that is the call upon humanity. The prospect offered to it by the slowly unfolding and now more clearly disclosed self of the universe. The nations that most include and make real these things in their life and culture are the nations of the coming dawn. A spiritual evolution, an evolution of consciousness in matter, in a constant developing self-formation, till the form can reveal the indwelling spirit, is then the keynote, the central, significant motive of the terrestrial existence. Thank you, Maharaj.
I remember now, men shall not know the hour till it is coming, and belief shall not